Hey everybody, good evening. Yes, evening. This is my name is Charles,
And I'm Latia.
and this is Marriage to Third Wing. We thank you guys for joining us again on a beautiful, beautiful day. This is the 1st of May, and as you saw probably on the flyer, this is our marriage Monday, but we're kind of doing a spin because May, as you may or may not know, is Mental Health Awareness Day.
Month.
Yes. Marriage, May, the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we want to recognize that mental health is important individually, but it's also especially important in your marriage as well, too.
It is. And yes, everybody, guess what? We made it to the 5th month. So, whatever might have happened between January all the way to now, you have made it to month number 5. So you're almost at the 6th month. And the 6th month is even special because that's my birthday month. But we are happy that you are...
What is the 6th month?
June. And that's my birthday month. The most amazing people in the whole entire world was born in June. But yes, so it is May. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we know that this is something that is always still, no matter how much you make people aware, there is still a stigma that goes along with it. And so in every aspect of our lives and of our platforms, we want to make sure that we recognize not only here in this month, but also throughout the entire year. But we want to make it really relevant and bring it into your marriage and make it practical for this month. So yes, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And you might all know that the nonprofit that we both serve on is the LQ Foundation. And if there's any time that you have questions about mental health, you want to learn more about it, just check out the LQ Foundation. You can also check it out as lqfoundation.com. And throughout this month, there will be different things. Different people will share their personal experience with mental health and mental illness that they've been able to overcome or been able to manage, and not ashamed about it. Actually are stronger because they took control and learned how to grow. So I just want to let y'all know that please continue to even follow the LQ Foundation as they do some Wellness Wednesdays as well.
Absolutely. So if you've kind of been following along, that is definitely something we're doing and going to continue to do, Wellness Wednesdays. But we got a few people talking to us. We've got Tonisha Gentile. Good evening, my sis.
Yes.
Paris Jenkins. Hello, Unc. It was good hanging out with you this weekend.
And one day this month, my technical guy is going to be able to bring Paris on. We all know that he is a mental health nurse practitioner. He's a mental health nurse working on his mental health nurse practitioner. So we're also going to bring him on once we figure out how to... My sound guy, he didn't like the way the things were sounding, so he'll follow us once because we'll carry this out through this month because that's how large of an avenue it could be.
Yes. So again, Mental Health Awareness Month. And while we have your attention, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've not done so already, it greatly helps us out because this is a great, important message, and we want to make sure it gets out to as many people as possible. So thank you again for that, and thank you for joining our video live on today.
Yes, and so to kick it off, we are going to keep it basic. I mean, we can get into more things like, I think along this month we'll talk about ways to support your spouse who might have some struggles with mental health, or you might think they got struggles with mental health and they don't. So ways to support your spouse in that. How ways to just be supportive, ways to actually recognizing your own mental health in your marriage. So we'll talk about different things along that way. But to kick it off, I want to talk about some things that can go into mental health when it comes to marriage. And for this, we are going to use our SYMBAS as a reference. If you know, we are certified marriage coaches through SYMBAS. The people that's over is Dr. Les and Leslie Parrott. They're psychologists, and they keep us up to date. They take us through coaching sessions at times to be able to serve our couples even better. And I like them because they do have a spiritual background with them, and it also brings it to practical. So if you never taken the SYMBAS, it's something that you let us know you want to take. It's a small fee that goes along with the initial test, and then coaching sessions come along behind it. So it talks about certain things. But one part of SYMBIS is your marriage momentum.
But yes, to the point about SYMBIS, we've also got Terrence Massey, what's up? And whatever, man, Cortez, that's my homie. But Terrence has joined, he actually joined Marriage with Third Ring, and they went through SYMBIS.
They did.
So I'm sure at some point maybe we can kind of convince them to give us their testimony about it. But SYMBIS is really, it's not just a questionnaire. It's not just a simple personality test. There are actual psychological principles that have been put into place. And there's been some research done on this to make sure that it actually fits and works for your marriage. But as with any tool, it only works if
you use it.
Thank you.
Sorry. I was waiting. But SYMBIS stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts.
Absolutely.
But guess what? Once you start taking the test, it actually knows that you're married already. So it works for premarital, and it also works for those that's married. So once you actually start taking the test, and actually we've only had a couple premarital couples go through it. Most of the time, it's more of our married couples. Yeah. It lets you know if it's married. It switches you into SYMBIS Plus. It does it on its own. There's nothing additional we have to do for that. It goes from the questions that it asks you, and then it switches the questions based on if you are married. For instance, one of the ones for non-married might be just one of the ones that comes like, who's going to stay at home with the kids if you have them when you get married, or who are you thinking to do all the housework, or who's going to take out the trash. So these are just different things about finances, maybe either. But when you are married, it might even ask you about, do you talk about sex with your partner and different things like that. Because it is Christian based, it doesn't ask you that in the premarital one, but it does ask you that in the marital one. So it knows once you start asking the questions which assessment to give you, and we don't even have to do it. After you finish taking the test, it compiles a whole report and it gives it to us.
And so we're going to go over a sample report and how this kind of leads into and leans towards what can affect your mental health. And these are different tools, like I said, you would have to use in order to work on your mental health and how that impacts your marriage.
Yeah, so, and when he says a sample report, it's in one section. Trust me, SYMBIS is a lot. We actually could take up to 5 sessions to counsel couples on their whole SYMBIS results. It can be done in 3, it can be done in 5, different things like that. So, what he's showing you right now, go back to the first initial one before you get into the sample report. He's going to show you and pull it up just about the initial one that breaks down mindset and stuff. Originally is in there.
Okay, let me figure that out what she wants.
So while he's bringing it up, just so when it comes to marriage mental health, one thing we have to know about, is the very initial one. One thing we have to know about when we come to the marriage, when you come to your mental health in your marriage, is learning how to be supportive. Sometimes you don't know what your spouse might be going through, because it could even be things from their childhood. It could be things that they experienced before they got with you. These things cause trauma. Some of those traumas also pop up in red flags. Go back to the initial folder, and the one you showed me at the beginning, and it breaks it down. Some of those traumas come up in this report as red flags. There could have been a history of abuse. There could be a history of, right there. It could be a history of abuse. It could be a history of, they could have had a history of infidelity, but made them have low self-esteem. So there could be things from their past. They could not have been raised with both parents. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they have issues of abandonment, or you might feel like, oh, they're so clingy, but they don't know because their dad he went down the street for a pack of cigarettes and never came back home. Or, or something growing up, because them are stories you used to hear, and they never know what happened to daddy or mama. And so now they have this issue with, they don't want you to go anywhere by yourself because they might not think you're going to come back, because that's what happened to them when they were a child and they brung it into their adult. So there's so many things that go into mental health when you bring two individuals together, because they might be things you don't even know about your partner's or your spouse's past.
Yes. So we talked about something, I forget what it was, but my sister were talking, and she just told me she found out something new about me. I'm like, what you find out new about me? I thought I told you everything. But there's little things, I guess, in every person's past that you may not even remember, but somebody else, close to you might remember that, could impact, the way you act, the way you speak, the way you interact with someone else. And she said this makes sense to her. I still don't really know what she said makes sense to her, but as with anything in your past, it's up in your head somewhere. Either it comes out through your actions, thoughts, or anything like that.
Yes, and you can have a whole lot of set of siblings that grow up in the same house, but depending on what they went through, can cause each person will receive it differently.
Yeah.
So you can have a lot that grows up in the same house, but depending on what was transpired, each person might come out of that situation differently, might have received that situation differently. I'll use this example of church. Some people grow up in church, and because they had to go to church so much, they feel like they don't want to go when they got older. It was beaten to me, or it was forced on me. I don't want to go. There's others that, and I can't see the comment box. I hope you can. I don't know if anybody is commenting. There's others that might have to, they might go to church and they was raised up in it, but they still found solace in it. They still feel connection there, and they don't run away the other way. They run closer too, because now they're developing their own relationship with God, not the relationship their parents have with God. They're learning it for themselves. So that could be the same people. It could even be twins that grow up in the same situation, the same circumstances, but each one responds differently. And because of that response, it can mean that you either have trauma from it or you have triumph from it. Who knows? You might have, or you might have trauma that makes you run towards, you just never know. So these things all go with mental health. And please chime in if y'all want to say something. I know we gonna get to the point where we can have this whole as a panel, but we got y'all on tonight. So Charles found the thing. Anything you wanted to add before you?
No, you're fine. So I want to put this.
And when we talk about mental health, y'all, I promise you, I probably will talk more. Mental health is one of the things that I'm protective over, because there's so many and passionate about. But yes, so.
All right, so here's the graphic. She was trying to get me to pull up. So this is the marriage momentum, and you can see it's talking about your mindset, your well-being, your context, and dynamics. Your mindset has to do with your attitude towards marriage. As it says here, there's no right or wrong answers there, but it's just you. These are your mindset. Your well-being has to do with helping you increase your individual readiness and your relationship readiness for marriage. It also highlights some of the issues, the red flags she mentioned earlier, that may be there, may or may not be there. The context is all about what surrounds your relationship. That section will help you explore the big picture of a relationship and how you two manage your two worlds and bring them together. And the dynamics has to do with your unique personalities. That's more of your personality traits, and how those two traits from statistical standpoints mesh together. Again, there's no right or wrong answer on your personality trait, but they're looking at actual results from tested cases on how individuals with particular traits blended together.
Exactly.
All right.
And then for this one, we're mainly focusing on our mindsets and our well-beings. Even though we know we have the context, and as you see, you have the different type of spouse. And I'm telling you, when we did ours, our eyes was like open, like wow, like, and it was a while back. I think we've been doing Symbis now probably since 2017 or so. Yes. So we've been doing Symbis for a while. So who knows? We might even change it. So. When we go on to mindset real quick, and I just want to let y'all know the reason mindset is important when you're even thinking about your mental health is sometimes your mental health will mean how will control what your mindset is towards marriage. And it could be because you are a type of person that feels like your spouse is supposed to do everything for you. You might feel like marriage is a fairy tale. Mm-hmm. So your mindset can affect, it comes from that mental health that you have. And what your mental health is towards marriage. You agree?
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, and if anybody else disagree, y'all just let me know. Like I said, I'm gonna try to look at the my things, and I do got some messages going on here. And oh yes, okay. I was just looking at different things, and yes, if you ever have someone who needs to watch it later, come on in and watch it later. We get it. That's why it's on YouTube, because it's always here. If you want to come back either as a refresher or if you want to play it later with your spouse. So either one is totally fine.
We go to that one?
Yes.
All right. Trying to keep her on track here.
I was good. I was replying to the message I had. Okay, so mindset. What is your attitude towards marriage? Okay. So what is your attitude towards marriage? Research reveals the course of your relationship will be impacted by the combination of your two mindsets towards marriage. And then it even shows you the 5 mindsets that you can fall in.
So I'm going to bring that one up here.
Is it on there? It's not on there.
Yeah, no, that one's
That's another. That's another.
Yeah, that's another.
So we'll just go over it. If you want more information on this, we got it for you.
Yeah, like again, we are certified in this. So if this is interesting to you and you want to see how your mindset actually meshes in your marriage, I mean, looking at these, you can probably guess which category you fall into, but I don't think everyone falls into only one bucket. You might have multiple buckets you may fall in, but it's going to tell you your primary one.
Yes. And these are fake couples. So this is a fake couple. I don't know Chris or Tony. There is a Tony on here, but this is not her. So as you see, when you get the report, go back to the top real quick at the report. When you get the very top, the first page of the report, when you get the report, that is how we get your report. You don't see this part until we give it to you. And you usually have prepared by us. And our information is on there. If Charles goes to that next page real quick, it gives us just your background information, age, ethnicity, religion affirmation. You know, even if you don't believe in anything, what kind of education you had, employment. It lists all of this. If your parents are married or divorced, how you were raised. Were you raised with both of your parents or only by one? And how many people are in your family? We learn a lot just from looking at this. And then we also talks about the number of marriages you might have had. This might be your second marriage. And if it is, the report also knows and it asks you questions. It might be your third marriage. It asks you questions based on that. And it asks the stability of dating relationship. And, and so from the questions you ask, because each one of you get your own email. And so from the questions they asked, and the way they answered them, this is what it came. So I just want to show y'all that is how we got the information about Chris and Tony.
There you go. All right. So now we're on to the romantic mindset. So I would consider myself probably kind of a romantic mindset. I believe that's what mine was on the report. But a romantic mindset is someone who's approach to marriage with more idealism than most. In some respects, you're living out your own romantic script with the soulmate of your dreams. Ain't that nice? In fact, you're nearly twice as likely as the average person to say there's only one perfect person for me. Love conquers all for you, and you believe in a soulmate, in a soul-to-soul connection that doesn't require much effort, and you expect it to not only last forever, but to bring both of you unending bliss.
Yes. Now, it could be a problem if one of you have reluctant and then one of you have romantic, because it might be a difference there.
So reluctant, this is just a sample, so it doesn't go over everything with it, but a reluctant type of mindset person is someone who's obviously reluctant to marriage, but they're still in it for one reason or another. A restless mindset type person is going to be a person who's restless in marriage and always seeking for something else. And a rational mindset person, I believe that's the kind of person who looks at marriage through a lens of rationality, so looking for the logic in marriage relationship.
Yeah, I was more towards like that rational. I think I feel like rational. I don't know. Charles, our report used to be in here.
Yeah,
he didn't find it when he was looking for it. But I think I was rational or the resolute. But as you see, the wife is romantic, and it could be flip flop because like Charles said, he was romantic, and I was more the other one, like down to business. But as you are, because the first time he told me he loved me, I thought it was crazy, and he wanted to marry me. I'm like, do I know you that well? But even though the other day I heard someone say it doesn't take you long to know what you want. And it reminded me of when you said it doesn't take a whole day to recognize sunshine. Yeah. You took it from Common, but that was what you was feeling at the age of 20.
Yeah, so that's free game for y'all. She just gave away the sauce. So yeah.
But they're already married, so they good. But a resolute mindset. You are a true believer when it comes to matrimony. In fact, you have the highest marriage motivation of any other category. You are more than twice as likely as your peers to say divorce is not an option. You are marrying for life. You resonate with words like devotion, dedication, and commitment. More than others, you are likely to want to have children at some point too. In fact, only 2% of resolutes say they never want children. So this just lets you know, and then y'all can look at that down there. I'm not going to read all that to you, but it tells you, once you find out how you are, it actually tells you how to bring your mindsets together.
Right.
And so, if y'all can think about this, can y'all see how this can help with the mental health of your marriage and how your mental health is affected when you get married? Because this is why it's so important for premarital counseling, which I know you are all already married, most of you. So therefore, sometimes it's okay and it's much needed to even go to counseling while you're married, right, or go to coaching. It's okay for check-ins, because if you have mindsets at one end or the other, and they can change like love languages, you want to be able to figure out how to mesh those mindsets back together.
And the main point of takeaway from this, and the reason why I could even do this, is to A, know who you are, and then B, to know who you're dealing with. Because people put on a good face. It's date night. Everybody puts on a good face for a date night, or we're on a high on our relationship. We're just getting together or whatever. Everybody's going to put in a good face. But when you're getting married to someone, how is that person behind closed doors? You don't always find that out if you're not living together prior to marriage. You don't always find out those things, how that person actually is, until you see them without that mask on. So we did talk about the maskers and living in marriage without a mask on. You really truly find out who someone is once you don't have an option really to see them with that mask on.
Yes. Can we go back to that page real quick?
Sure.
And the thing is, I want to go back because I don't want to do a disservice. And I know we're talking about mental health, and go back to mindset mesh. And I said I wasn't going to read it, but then as I thought about it, honestly, this is something that people need to know when they're trying to work through their mental health and work to understand their partner, is you don't share the same mindsets. So guess what? You're different. That's okay. But you both share a passion for a loving marriage. The two of you bring together a combination of dedication and idealism. This can work well as long as both of you are sensitive to your differing attitudes and you both are willing to work as a team. Okay, remember, stronger together.
And this one in particular is about the resolute and the romantic mindset.
Yes, a romantic mindset is often tempted to ignore real life work because it doesn't fit their love story. Yet, the resolute perspective can learn from the romantic how to lean a bit more into the softer side of love.
Now, for those of you who know Latia and I personally, you can kind of see how that kind of fits. I'm sorry.
He's telling me I need to be softer. Whatever. But that goes from being raised by a single mom and having to hold down a lot. Yeah. So it's hard to sometimes shift to be softer, because guess what? You don't ever, I'm the type that don't like to be exposed, you know, but you learn to lean into love a little, and lean to the softer side of love. Sometimes it takes somebody to work with you to get you to maneuver it a little bit. The key is honest, okay? Honest. Don't suffer in silence. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest, because you're going to be lying to your spouse because you're lying to yourself, and that's going to make life easier because you don't want to fight. So the key is honest discussions about your values and your commitment to each other, even when times get tough. That's the thing right there, because when it gets tough, it's easier to walk away.
Yeah, and a lot of people are doing that these days. Well, period. Marriage has always been under attack, but you know, a lot of people are walking away just because some issues in your personality, like, hey, or some other baggage, like, I can't deal with this. So instead of dealing with it, people just opt to walk away.
Yep, but if you're willing, just say, bottom line, you're not gonna be like-minded. You're not exactly like-minded match. Your perspectives for a lifelong love are good. You'll have some differences to work out, but if you are willing to make some compromises and adjust some expectations, as they talk about later, because it tells you, we don't just leave you with this information. We help you work through this information.
Absolutely.
You will learn from each other and build a lifelong marriage together.
And that's the ultimate goal. So this whole report and why mental health in your relationship is important, because as we said earlier, people decide to walk away when things become difficult. But if you know how to deal with yourself and then how to deal with you two together as in your relationship, it makes things a little bit easier. If you know, like, hey, this might be a trigger for her, or I can handle this situation in this way, or she feels this way, let me handle it in this way. So it's important to learn about your mental state and to address each other accordingly.
Yeah, like, I know I can't yell at my husband. Like, I mean, why would I do that anyways? But, you know, sometimes you do.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Sometimes, he can yell to y'all. Don't let the nice little fun Charles fool you. But the thing about it is, if he yell at me, I'm the type, I'm not gonna fight. I'm gonna jump into fight. But you know, we get those fight or flights. I just know to jump in. But
I don't be yelling at him.
If I'm upset with him, I can't yell. First of all, that's not respectable. But at the end of the day, he's not gonna hear me. And he gets mad. But it does come from his childhood. He grows. I'm working on his mental health, y'all. But it grows. He grew up in a household that was loud, but he shut down at that time. My household, we was loud. We just got louder.
The brown couch is here. What is going on?
But he shut down. And so, just a little transparent moment. But, so I know me yelling at him, he's going to shut down on me. And so, well, are you afraid that we would be exposed? I don't know. But yeah, but no.
You the one who said that.
I did.
That you like being exposed.
Oh, exactly. Uncompared. This is not a counseling session.
Y'all but you put me on the brown couch though.
But yes, so anyways, me yelling at Charles is not going to be effectively communication. But also it can bring trauma for him if that is what he was introduced to at a young age. He's not going to admit it. But I know him because I know my husband and because I know myself. So it takes a lot to know you before you can help someone else.
She's right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Mark this.
It's 8:53, 8:35, May 1st. She right. It takes a strong person to admit, you know, their own faults and then to be transparent about what they're going through. So you're right. But can I get off the wrong couch now?
You can get off the couch. I use that example as to say, you can't, know you and know who you're married to. But if you never understand who you're married to, you could bring up a trauma that they might have dealt with because you don't know that affects them in their mental health. Like for me, I grew up with a lot going on. If I felt like he was like just this big old mean person, I wanted to yell at me and stuff all the time, I might want to like, I don't know, like I might want to respond differently because I go into a defensive mode. And so there's certain things. So you just have to know who you are and then know. And then if it's something that's triggering you that your spouse doesn't know, you might want to tell them.
It's important, to be transparent. It's your transparency that actually helps heal people. So if you're I know she doesn't like what do they call it? Chore boys. I know she doesn't like those, but okay, it didn't have to be that.
I mean, go ahead. I'm just listening.
But for me to just continue to this is what I need to do, this particular function or whatever in the house. If I know that something is triggering for her, then why would I not? It's about unity and compromise, and that's really at the end of the day what it is. Recognizing someone has an issue and then dealing with it accordingly.
Amen. I like that. Lord Jesus. Okay, on to the next. Any questions? And if there is an issue, like I said, y'all always can text. If there's something you feel like your spouse might have this type of mindset, you're really trying to work on it. I mean, we're here to help. We don't just come on here on Mondays just to talk to y'all. Literally, we are here to help y'all if we can. I was answering a question earlier with somebody like, hey, y'all want to talk? We don't be pushy, but if there's, sometimes you need that third person.
Yeah, and it's important really to just hear what other people have gone through, and then hear different tools and advice that you can use to apply to your own marriage. So it's important to hear tools and messages like this because you can apply them to yourself.
Yes. So before we lose our wonderful audience, but no, let's talk about it. And my thing is sometimes mental health is not that. Charles had a pill at first on our flyer, and I was like, "Oh, I don't like that." Yeah, but it was because sometimes different things are hard pills to swallow. Even addressing your own mental health.
You was gonna take what I said?
No, it was good. I personally didn't like it on the flyer for a different reason. Because when you get into mental health, I don't want.
So this is the flyer she's talking about. Yeah, I had a pill, and the reason I guess why I had the pill on there because. Like she said, some things can be a hard pill to swallow, but the truth is necessary.
Yes, and that's why it was. Me being in medical, I just wanted him to take the pill off. I just didn't like it. But yeah, so that's one of the things. But I was like, no, that can be coming with a different meaning.
So here's the thing then. If somebody's dealing with a traumatic experience, so something that's affecting their mental health, and they're not able to move forward, from that, what do you do?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you or anybody.
Okay, so and they're dealing about it. They're dealing with it personally.
Yes,
or they're dealing with it in their marriage.
No, someone's dealing with a mental issue.
Okay,
and it's affecting them.
Okay,
because mental issues can affect you physically.
Amen.
So what do you do to help that person?
First, they have to know how. They have to accept it. Mm-hmm. So, because sometimes I can see when someone. Like I told Charles, he doesn't like to talk about childhood. But no, not about you. I know this ain't about you. But you might be able to recognize that somebody has an issue. I might be able to recognize that you are one way 1 minute and one little thing can throw you another way. I have been that person. But until you get to the point that you can recognize it, I feel like now once you can recognize it or once you listen and accept it, then you need to seek help. Mm-hmm. And if you seek help, that needs to be some wise counsel. So whether it be a counselor and your insurance should cover it. If not, hey, come to the LQ Foundation. We'll get you linked up with someone. And in the mental health world, if talking about it doesn't help and it's something that's actually a diagnosis, that they might diagnose you with a mental illness, then there is medication that can help. Mm-hmm. And don't ever be afraid because sometimes you need a tool to be able to get yourself under control. Like my doctor used to tell me, if you stand in the fire, you can drink as much water as you want, but you're still going to be burning. Because guess what? That water that you're drinking is not putting out the fire. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to use wisdom and know how to get yourself out of situations. If your brain is cloudy, if your brain is foggy, it's not, or if you are trying to, and we went somewhere else, but if you are, with Charles's question, trying to mask what you are dealing with alcohol, with drugs, or different things that you're self-medicating, I feel like those things will make it harder for you to get the accurate help you need because your judgment is cloudy. And so I feel like you have to seek wise counsel. Amen. Most jobs have an EAP program. And they do. Honestly, don't be afraid to use it. Your employer is not going to know. Thank you very much, Cortez. Most jobs have an EAP program and gives free sessions that can be used as a starting point. And that is true. I have used the EAP sessions before. I still pay for my counselor today now. But because they only want to give you 6. I might want to talk a little more. But yes, but that's what and Parrish gave approval either for Cortez's or for my response. But yes, use the EAP. If you have a job, even if you are on government insurance, there are some counselors that's out there for you.
Yes, absolutely. So again, it's important to seek wise counsel. I think that's where she was going with this, to express your issues, and then in that you have to be transparent with and honest with yourself, and then transparent to who you're talking to. Again, in wise counsel, to ensure that your issues are being expressed appropriately, because sometimes even just talking about your issues and getting that weight off of your chest can help you kind of move forward and make a clear decision on what's next for you.
And even if you're having marital problems, you might need to start the counseling yourself. So even if it's marital problems and you know that y'all might need marriage counseling, I would say sometimes it doesn't hurt. And most good marriage counselors will even do your counseling, but also split you apart, to hear what they have to say. It's okay to work on you. It's okay to work on you, because you need to work on you individually so you can come together as a whole. But if you're so jacked up by yourself, it's not going to work when you're trying to bring, because I could be holding him responsible for my dad not being there or something when I was growing up. If that was the case. He could be holding me responsible for neglect from his mom because I'm the woman figuring out his life. Or at least
using her as an outlet for my frustration. Not necessarily holding responsible, but...
Yeah, no, but some people hold responsible. Even though that spouse is not responsible, some people truly try to hold somebody responsible for their happiness, which is another part of mental health that you got to work on.
Parrish said, your friends are not always wise counsel, which is very true.
That's so true.
You got to be careful about who you're telling your information to, because not everybody is equipped to be able to deal with it.
Yes. You might be for the years. Me and Charles were married 21 years. For years, we might have been the only married, we were a married couple out of our friends. Now, most of our friends are married, but, I still have some good girlfriends that's not, but if I'm always calling them for them to tell me what to do about my husband because he's getting on my nerves today. First of all, that's not helpful to them, because they ain't going to want to be married because they're not understanding what I'm dealing with. Absolutely. And then they can't help me in this marriage part of my life. They might, try to give me something, but that's not what they do. Even the ones that's married. There might be some that's married. You still can't call them just because they married, because you don't know. Pray and try to seek, listen, what I'm saying? If you start talking to one of your friends, they're like, oh girl, Brian, get away from him. You can get divorced online for $50. Okay, thank you for that. Let me talk to somebody. So please, like he said, your friends are not always wise counsel.
Right. So the word wise needs to be tempered with experience as well too.
Experience. No, it's some people that's been married for about 50 years.
Wise and experience. I
get what you mean, because I might go to somebody that's only been married for 2 versus somebody that's been married for 50. Because some of the ones that have been married for 50, they might have just sucked it up, and that we ain't never telling you just to suck it up and deal with it. We want to. If it's something going on, I do not believe that God ordained marriage for you to be miserable. So if it's something, but why do you feel miserable? Let's get to the root of it. Because sometimes you gotta snatch some things up by the root. So don't just run away because you're like, Tia said don't be miserable. No, Tia said get to the problem and get to the root.
So some of the things that we do, our 10-minute talks, we've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. I still don't really like doing them all the time, but our 10-minute talks. So she's the talkative one, clearly. I'm not. So it's harder for her to fit what she wants to say within her 2 minutes, because it's 2 minutes break. So she'll talk for 2 minutes and then I'll talk for 2 minutes. So it's harder for her to fit everything, the laundry list of things she has to say within 2 minutes, and it's harder for me to fill up that 2 minute time period. And after that 2 minutes is up, we switch.
He tries to be quiet while the timer is going, so I pause it until he starts back to talk.
Why are you telling those?
It don't work unless you work it.
But the whole premise of this is it's working on the mentality of your marriage as a whole. Even though I don't necessarily like doing it all the time because I'm more quiet and reserved, but it does help. It is helpful actually to talk about your marriage, things that you're experiencing even throughout the day, and then kind of not necessarily unload on each other, but to communicate one to another. That also is something that is going to be helpful to your marriage and relationship to ensure that your marriage is mentally healthy. Because if you're checking in and checking on each other, even throughout that, the 2 minute time period, your 10 minutes total, it's going to improve the whole totality of the relationship.
And maybe we should send out some things. I'm thinking about it now. We should send out the marriage check-ins, making love with the lights on, meaning just checking on each other throughout the day. Not nothing crazy, y'all. Just checking on each other throughout the day and stuff like that. So maybe we need to send out some of those things again as we're working on marriage mental health throughout this month to help people's marriages become mentally healthy.
Absolutely.
And since we're helping with the whole well-being, and we won't want to hold y'all all night because we appreciate your time, we go to well-being real quick because this could go along. That's why I said we were going to break this thing up in sections, but we're not. This is the only night we're really talking about SIMBAs. It's other things. We just wanted to kick it off this way. Just real quick, in well-being, your marriage can only be as healthy as the two of you. Exploring your well-being as individuals as well as the well-being of your relationship is vital to launching enduring love. Okay? So guess what? Don't worry because we already launched. It's fine. And you can still get your numbers up. If you take this and your numbers are low, after you go through some sessions, you can get your numbers back up for your individual well-being and then your marriage well-being. Just going to show you just the categories. You have self-concept, how you feel about yourself. And if you look at the scores, it tells you the different scores. So she scored 88% and he scored a 97%. It's fine. So it's how you feel about yourself. The maturity. It just tells, for instance, maturity said by default, your age over 25 puts you in the optimal zone for lifelong marriage. Ages 24 and younger are correlated with higher divorce rates. So guess what, y'all? We got married at 21. So who? That's still that
right. That doesn't mean it's not a determination on your destination. That is up for you to determine. So these are statistics, and this is everything's based on. But it's not saying that because you got married at this age, because this is your mindset, because this is your personality or whatever, this is your destination. No, these are all statistics, but where you end up is all based on you.
And your independence. I love how on the marriage test, it still talks about your independence. You never want to lose sight of who you are because then you can start resenting your spouse for you losing sight of you. Remember, they fell in love with you for a reason. So don't ever lose sight of who you are.
Absolutely.
If you look right here at the, and you can point to it on there. If you look at the flags, caution flags, that's what I was talking about. He has none. Well, she has some. Abuse between parents, partners' annoying habits, and then depression. So if you have depression, if you have anxiety, it shows up. If you had a history of pornography, it shows up. Sexual abuse, different things like that, it could show up on your caution flags. There are certain caution flags that we already know that if we get them, we have to refer you out to a certified, either a licensed LPC, a licensed professional counselor, but a professional. We have to refer you out to them because we are not equipped. I never take away from those who have earned those degrees. And so certain caution flags, we know we have to refer you out. It's even in our training. And then it talks about your relationship well-being.
Right. So relationship well-being is a statistical number on just how well your relationship is going.
Longevity, stability, and your similarity. those things all come, like for similarity, you share a great deal of your core values, and this heightens your marriage readiness. So these are premarital couples.
Right.
So so I want to show you just why it's so important. And it says, when it comes to your individual as well as relationship well-being, what concerns you the most and why? And honestly, you can even think about that like just in a generic sense. Without taking this test, that's something that's your little homework, and you can think about it.
Right, yeah, that's a good question here. Mm-hmm. So when it does come to your individual as well as relationship well-being, what concerns you the most and why? You don't have to take the test just to answer that question, but I mean, most of us know or have an idea about how you are. How is your well-being?
Maybe you have anger issues. Maybe there's certain things. Maybe
you don't think you have anger issues, but your spouse perceives that you do.
Yes. So that's good too.
Or it could be any number of issues.
That was just something I just thought about for relationship well-being. Maybe you spend too much money, or you feel you have low self-esteem.
Or Amazon is always at your house.
I just took a break. But low self-esteem could cause you to be going through your spouse's phone when they sleep. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing things that you don't think because of your own self-esteem. Now you're being detective. Who got time for that?
Right. Nobody got time for that.
So this is why we just wanted to talk about mindsets and well-beings and different things like that tonight. We just wanted to let you know how important you as a whole are, and then you as an individual, and then bringing yourself together. You need your mindsets to come to mesh.
And it's important, like you said, to be mentally and healthy whole yourself, because if I'm messed up in the head and she's good in the head,
I'm good.
That's not going to create a healthy relationship, because you're unequally yoked. I mean, yes, that's not biblical terms of what it was talking about, but I'm going through something and she's not, but I can get there. It's just going to take some work and some practice.
And I would be, if that was the case, if I don't notice that my spouse is going through something, and so I'm living in this fairy tale world, because I have this romantic mindset myself, and I'm in this fairy tale world that everything is fine, and I don't recognize that my spouse is going through something, I'm not being in tune. I'm not knowing to maybe even pray for him, because guess what? I will tell you, therapist and Jesus, prayer, prayer. And you should not be, I will be at my counselor sometimes and he's saying something and I'm like, well, dang, or just a couple weeks ago, my counselor said something and I was like, whatever. Got to church and my pastor was preaching, not even knowing that it was like aligning. So you should know it should align. You shouldn't have nobody that's telling you to run from the church. You should know that whatever you're talking to that person about, they should resonate with what you already feel. If they're telling you something crazy, then that's not who you need in your life right now. They shouldn't be like, oh, you should leave that man anyway. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. You really want to be with him?
Unless he hitting you.
Oh, I mean, that's something totally different. But no. It should align, though, with what your spirit says, what your, it should come together. So they should be able to mesh. So prayer is always a fact. But sometimes if our mind is so, you might need somebody to intervene and pray for you.
Right. But that's basically what we had today. We want to talk about the importance of mental health in a individual and in your marriage. So thank you guys for joining in today. We greatly appreciate it. Still, again, if you have not liked or subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and do so now. Just click the little thumbs up button at the bottom. And then click the subscribe button, and there's a little bell. You can click that as well, too. 3 little things. If you can just click those for me, I would really appreciate it. But we are coming back next Monday for another #Marriage Monday.
Still dealing with some mental health things. We'll try to have some guests.
So, closing remark. Uncle Parrish did have a closing remark we want to make sure we mention on the video. Remember, the picture you paint of your spouse to others can't be easily erased. That's good. And actually, follow up on our next Monday to get our response to that, because that is really good. That is very important. But yeah, do you have anything else here you want to add?
No, that's good though. I was reading that. Yes, the picture. And I should have my glasses, y'all, then I can see a little better. But yes, the picture you painted your spouse can't be easily erased. Yes. And he gonna give us a little bit elaborate because who we painting, what we painting him to.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll try to get Paris on. I'll try to figure that out.
Yes, amen. So thank y'all so much for joining in.
Thank you guys again. Join us next Monday for another Marriage Monday. This is our mental health awareness piece. So we will see you guys.
Oh, and then ICU Marriage Cruise. I can still add a few more spots.
I'm sorry. That's my
fault.
The
cruise is still gonna be good. Trust and believe. There is good. It's gonna be good. So we are still adding more spots.
So the cruise is you can get to the cruise on nt3r.net. I'll put that in the comment section if you guys are interested.
And it's not to December. And just inbox us because I do have to add. I will have to try to get your room added. So let us know. But right now there's still room.
More spaces, so.
Okay. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys, and we will see you guys next Monday.
Bye.